Is John Cena natural?
Fuck no.
So really interesting, actually. He just was on a Howard Stern interview where he talked about, is he natural or not? And so basically Howard Stern asked him like, hey, what's going on with steroid use? He's a 16-time world champion, obviously in WWE, and he has pretty remarkable physique. People are very aware of what this guy looks like. I mean, he's jacked. I believe he's over 47, you said? I mean, the dude's not necessarily like a god tier physique. He's not like an open bodybuilder, but like his physique is certainly not something that isn't impressive. It's by all means what I would consider to be like a top tier physique. And especially this most recent picture where he's a lot older, he still looks grainy, extremely vascular, and extremely lean. You can see his like lateralis coming in there, and like obviously the vascularity going through his chest and even his abdominal wall. Like the guy is extremely lean. So anyways, he gets on this Howard Stern interview, and I really want your take on this, Adam, to see what your thoughts are. But he basically says that he addresses it in a way that's kind of interesting. During an appearance in the Howard Stern show, John Cena answered questions regarding steroid use, declaring unequivocally that the wrestling industry requires them, while adding that he is completely clean. He said, professional calls for it. Yeah, you still got to lift folks and throw them. When Howard Stern questioned him more on his natural status, Cena said, still, yeah, still. Still as in referring to he is still completely natural. So what are your thoughts on this, Adam? Do you think that John Cena is still completely natural?
I think people, maybe John included, have sort of defined or redefined the meaning of natural. You know, is your testosterone within, but maybe the top of the reference range? Are you using bioidentical hormones like maybe growth hormone and maybe insulin to support that? If they're taking that because they are bioidentical hormones and within the natural reference ranges considers you natural, yeah, he might be natural. But you know, taking my definition of taking any exogenous hormone immediately puts you as not natural. So in my opinion, I would say I definitely don't think he's natural. I don't think maintaining that level of muscularity, even that level of body fat whilst not losing tissue, that level of performance at his age when we know testosterone levels start declining after 25, I don't believe that's possible. Now, does he potentially take just a small TRT dose of 150 to 200 milligrams of testosterone to put him at the top of the natural reference range? I think there's a clip saying it was about 860 nanograms per milliliter.
Yeah.
What the units of measurement, which is near the top, well, actually not that high, but it's pretty high up in the reference range. Yes, potentially, but I don't think that makes you natural. So based on those factors, I would say no.
And just for people to be aware, I don't think many people honestly remember this because it was when he was in his 20s, but John did compete in bodybuilding many different times. And as you can see, like he is no tiny dude. Yes. I mean, if we could compare this to the Mr. Natural Olympia. So I don't know if you guys also knew, but there is a natural Olympia as opposed to a unnatural Olympia. And that man is still in question himself. He is pretty jacked, I won't lie. And he looks pretty good. But I still think, even compared to Mr. John Cena here, that the natural Olympia guy is still not as massive as is John Cena. And I'm going to share a picture of Mr. Natural Olympia right now. And he's big. He looks great. I mean, he's definitely big. He's vascular. This is obviously before his showtime. Definitely a dude that has a physique I think most would say is pretty ridiculous, but not unnaturally obtainable. It looks pretty standardized to me, but he definitely is questionable since the testing and stuff is skewed in the natural divisions. But regardless, I think it's pretty impressive. But he still doesn't even come close, like not even to a fraction of a degree as impressive as John Cena. And you're telling me that John Cena has been natural in his entire career. He did a bodybuilding show, and when he did the bodybuilding show, he looked like this.
Yeah, I believe he's 21 in that first image.
Yeah, and I believe the Mr. Natural Olympia, he's 38. So if you're telling me he was 21 years old, he looked like this, and wasn't able to be natural Mr. Olympia for whatever reason, I'd be curious to say the least. So better yet, he was on the Impulsive podcast, and he actually had shared a personal anecdote about steroid use and what he might do when it comes to that. Let's just take a peek here.
I'm not against any method that works. I'm still absolutely drug-free for life. I get my testosterone tested every third, not every quarter, 3 times a year.
Will you say your level?
The last one was 840.
Whoa.
As a 46-year-old man, I'm still in a good spot.
Yeah.
So I don't need that dimension yet. time is undefeated, and I love working out. So when that drops to be critical,
that discussion will take place.
So if testosterone drops below critical and I still maintain strength, gains, health, wellness, then you don't need it. And even if then you say you need it, you have to say, have I done all I can before I hit the thing to launch the fire?
So is he absolutely wrong in what he's saying there? Not at all.
No, actually, I very much agree with his
He's
advice.
right, but it doesn't mean he's natural.
Yeah.
There's one other person that comes to mind when I think of this kind of physique claiming to be natural. And do you have a stab at who that might be? It is Mr. Mike O'Hearn, to say the least.
Oh,
I think this is the only other person in the world that claims natural and looks like John Cena does in any capacity. And we all are very clearly aware that he is not natural. And so if this is the only person that has a comparable physique to John Cena, and we know Mike O'Hearn for sure is likely in most instances not natural, I think we can deduce that, hey, I think John might be doing something a little bit fishy with his protocols and practices, especially if he was more jacked than most people could ever be at a young age of just shy of 20. I think most people are unaware that he's not natural because they think that hard work and ethics will get you to unlimited proportions of muscle mass. But however, very, very false. In fact, you can just look at the most dedicated people to building muscle in the world in the natural Mr. Olympia and see that they are still smaller than most fitness influencers to this day. What did you have to say, Adam? Anything to include there?
Yes, I think that is a very good point that, we have many individuals who have competed before, and I'm pretty sure John would have competed in an untested or NPC show. I can't confirm that, but I do believe it was an untested show. And if you are having a physique which is more impressive than a lot of natural pros, at least to me, that's quite indicative of potential PED use. I mean, again, why don't you just go collect your natural pro card? You can argue that I don't have an interest in that, but it seems quite suspect that you wouldn't garner, that attention or take that easy win if you were so advanced. So in my opinion, even though we can't say definitively 100%, okay, but in my opinion, I would say, yes, John has or is currently using some form of exogenous testosterone or performance enhancing drugs.
100%. And I think that, folks, is all you need to know to understand that John is not natural.